Now it's time for Media Watch, and James Creedon is on set. Welcome, James.
Thanks, Rona.
We start with editorials and opinion pieces that are largely positive about Shimon Peres' legacy.
That's right. So first, to look at those paying homage to Shimon Peres, a Renaissance man and a workaholic, says the Jerusalem Post. He outlived all of his rivals. A very positive picture being painted of one of Israel's founding fathers in the Jerusalem Post. They speak about a man who simultaneously exuded a sense of nobility and humility, someone who became an instant statesman when he became president, who developed a softer, more tolerant personality than he had displayed as a politician prior to becoming the head of state. They speak about a Renaissance man in the sense that he was always a modernizer, even as the defense minister, promoting defense, aviation and the nuclear industries, which he has also been criticized for elsewhere. In his later life, he was a keen advocate of nanotechnology, green industry and brain research. As a politician, he was vilified. As president, he became a beloved statesman. You're getting positive pictures being painted of him also in some of the US media. The Wall Street Journal reminding us of his Nobel Peace Prize in 1993, along with Yasser Arafat and Yitzhak Rabin. The Accords outlined the steps towards a two-state solution, the Oslo Accords, of course, that he was a part of, even though they never were fully implemented. He never gave up on trying to advance peace with the Palestinians, concludes the article. The Guardian has a somewhat more nuanced picture, saying that the Oslo Agreement was something he regretted indeed, because he still stuck to the conviction that Oslo was a great thing. He felt the two-state solution, which is what Oslo negotiated, could be implemented, even though up to this day it still has not been. For many Israelis, even those on the right who opposed his support of the peace process as naive, says The Guardian, Peres will be remembered for a career that intimately tracked the country's short history. So the last surviving figure associated with the founding of modern Israel.
Of course, it's not all positive. For some opinion writers, Shimon Peres was not a man of peace.
That's right, indeed. Al-Jazeera.com, this headline in one of their editorial pieces poses that question. Was he a peacemaker, on the one hand, Nobel laureate, or was he a war criminal? And they ask that question in their headline. For other media, they sort of have made up their mind on that. The Middle East Monitor, Israeli war criminal whose victims the West ignored. Now, the Middle East Monitor sort of breaks down the points of criticism into, I suppose you could say, three key areas. The settlements, which he supported.
Right.
Indeed. And they say he played a key role in the early days of the settlement enterprise, and he has intervened to undermine any sort of measures, no matter how modest, at sanctioning those illegal colonies, even though the Oslo Agreement that he participated in attempted to resolve that question. The Cana massacre is another point which will tarnish his legacy. As Prime Minister in 1996, Peres ordered and oversaw Operation Grapes of Wrath, and a part of that operation in Lebanon was the notorious Cana massacre, where Israel shelled a UN compound, killing 106 civilians. Third point of criticism, the Gaza blockade, this choking blockade, condemned internationally as a form of prohibited collective punishment. This is all, of course, the Middle East Monitor's editorial point of view. They say that Peres defended that on the grounds that it is a form of collective punishment. If Gaza ceases fire, there will be no need for a blockade. Just to continue with the Cana massacre, this is a piece in the Independent by Robert Fisk, who was there during the Cana massacre, and he's very critical of Shimon Peres, who he says was aware that there were refugees on site, and even though Peres claimed it was a bitter surprise, he says this was simply a lie, and that Peres was not a peacemaker. Criticism too coming from 972 magazine in Israel, saying that he took part in almost every bad decision in Israeli history. So clearly the Israeli media also divided on him. For example, the Jerusalem Post and others being very elogious, very positive, but some on the left-wing media saying that he participated in quite a lot of errors. I think we can conclude with this headline in L'Orient 21. The many faces of Shimon Peres is their headline there.
On social networks, it's just as divided a picture.
That's right. It really depends on your perspective. It depends on your political points of view. It depends on Israeli internal foreign policy. That will colour your impression of Shimon Peres. Caleb Park, former Israeli Prime Minister and President, as he died as he lived. May he rest in peace, a hero to the world. And many politicians, including just one picked at random, Mike Pence, who is Donald Trump's running mate. Today, Israel lost a visionary and the world lost a great statesman. Perez personified courage in the face of battle and in the pursuit of peace. You can find a lot of negative comments also on social media. Well, I'll finish with a couple of cartoons that I suppose juxtapose or place side by side those many faces of Shimon Peres that we saw earlier. This is a cartoon in the Lebanese press showing the Nobel Peace Prize atop a coffin symbolizing the Cana massacre, which of course took place in Lebanon. And here the Nobel Peace Prize being, I suppose, juxtaposed with Gaza, the blockade in Gaza. So I suppose they're colourful images, but they do paint the picture of a man who certainly had many faces, depending on your perspective on him.
Thank you so much, James
Thanks,
Creedon there with Media Watch.